What does it say on the picture? Does it say Dalzell? So Harriet Hester was the first graduate of Adams State. She started collecting everything. This is from November 1927. Okay, so here we are, January 27th, 1928. Governor Adams has overwhelming love for life in the great open spaces. He did. He loved ranching. He loved great open, which is what the San Luis Valley is.
So there's a fond saying that people like to use in the valley, and that's that the San Luis Valley is essentially where Colorado began. And that's a fair description. The first settlements in what is today Colorado date to the San Luis Valley. It's a place with many firsts. Ultimately, one of the things that also marks the valley as being quite exceptional is Adams State University being the first Hispanic serving institution in the state of Colorado. So that first really sets us apart as being a unique campus that serves a very unique population of students. Adams State University is located in the San Luis Valley, which is the largest interalpine valley in the world. So a rather unusual place. It's roughly the size of the state of Massachusetts, just to give some dimension. The first people to really make extensive use of the valley were Native American tribes who inhabited the region for thousands of years. Groups like the Utes, the Jicarilla Apache. We know from archaeological evidence that the Pueblos were coming up and using the region as well for hunting, for mining of turquoise. And certainly in a later period, the Comanches, the Kiowas were all frequent visitors to the valley. It's really the arrival of the train that facilitates widespread expansion of these cities and the development of these towns. The trains brought a lot of building materials that were really important for construction purposes, for farming purposes, and so on.
When you're thinking about Alamosa, you're thinking about the valley. The thing you have to think about, I think, is the railroads. The railroad is really what made the valley, because prior to the arrival of the railroads, about the only thing you really had in the valley was you had a little Hispanic community down in San Luis and sort of across the southern part of the valley. Then you had the arrival of the railroad in the late 1870s, the Denver and Rio Grande Western Railroad that was built over La Veta Pass into here. You know, railroads, particularly steam railroads, need major centers every so often. They need division centers. And Alamosa became the division center for this area. And that's how Alamosa really developed. It's definitely a railroad town when you look at its layout. Railroad towns in the American West always had a particular pattern to them. They typically set up towns in what we call a T-town format. And a T-town format means that you lay out two major streets, one coming right off perpendicular off the railroad, and then usually 2 or 3 blocks up, you'd lay out another major street where the lots would be smaller and you could fit more businesses. And they did it on one side of the tracks, and they did that to concentrate the commercial activity and not have to be crossing the tracks. We forget how dangerous railroads are when you have trains going back and forth. But it creates many other phenomena. One of the things that it always typically does is it creates the phenomenon known as the other side of the tracks, where you get away from the railroad, away from the T side of the railroad. You will get substandard housing, smaller housing, lower cost. If you have minorities in an area, they might find themselves living in those areas more. We're very, very common in Western railroad towns, and Alamosa still has that stamp today when you can kind of cross over the tracks and see the difference between one side of the tracks to the other.
The train was really the economic driver of the town, and so it wouldn't have been uncommon for when the train came in. There would have been a lot of activity, a lot of sounds. The smell of the train would have really permeated the air, and there would have been all sorts of activity moving between the train depot and downtown as visitors came off, goods were unloaded, and all of those shop goers in downtown were able to get stuff that recently came in off the train. Of course, the train was also taking crops out of the valley, so stuff was being loaded on the trains, not just in Alamosa, but throughout the valley to haul produce to markets in other parts of the state and the rest of the nation. Adams State University, what was originally founded as Adams State Normal School, grew out of a project of local rancher and legislator, eventually Colorado State Governor Billy Adams.
Billy Adams, he was born in Wisconsin in 1862, and he came with his family out. They settled initially in Pueblo, but he came to Alamosa in the San Luis Valley when he was 17 years old, about 1879. So literally right as Alamosa was being put down. He became embedded in the community. He was here from the get-go, and he lives up until 1954, so he's part of that community for a long time. I think that what Billy did was he fell in love with the San Luis Valley, and he fell in love with the people of the San Luis Valley. And he recognized that for the valley to be successful in the future, it had to really have some kind of a school. In fact, his first attempt to get an Adams State here was in 1893. The bill was vetoed by then Governor Davis Wade, a populist governor of Colorado, for whatever reason, probably a budgetary issue. But he continued to pursue that up until the early 1920s when he was finally successful.
Billy Adams was quite the personality at many levels and really key to getting a campus here in the San Luis Valley. Originally envisioned as a teacher's college, Adams State University, well after that grew into being a fully comprehensive institution, ultimately becoming a university in 2012. So Adams State basically started as a one-building institution. Richardson Hall was the first building constructed on campus, and for a while it was essentially the hub of all activity. It is in many ways still the hub of a lot of activity today, but once upon a time, all of Adams State was inside Richardson Hall.
Important to realize, I think one of the things that helps to establish the success of Adams State, besides that community foundation, the community support that you had, was also effective leadership. And it starts with Ira Richardson. And Ira Richardson was hired as the president of Adams State in 1925, and he was hired from the faculty of Reed College out in Oregon.
It's fun to come to Richardson Hall every day, where we're located right now, because it's named after our first president, Ira Richardson, who really was a pioneer in the day, and a pioneer for this institution in terms of setting the course and setting the pace for the institution. He really did an excellent job of setting standards of what higher education should be for a small town.
He was president for 25 years of the institution, and he oversees it from the very start of a very small operation into a flourishing college by the time that he got done. And by all accounts, he's a beloved figure. He was respected by the faculty. He built the faculty. Of course, he hired most of the faculty. When it came time to build something, for example, the president's house that we have right across the street here, he actually put up his own money for part of that. They also bonded some of it, but he also put up his own money. He built a building that was largely an apartment for faculty, so that they would have reasonable enough housing when they showed up. And he steered the college through its early years. Very difficult years, obviously, with the Great Depression. He will go on and he'll serve all the way up into his 70s as president in 1950. He finally steps down and he retains a faculty position. He goes on to continue to teach, and almost up to his death in 1959. There is an interlude there. Right after you have Ira Richardson steps down, you then have an interim president came in, did not sit very well with the faculty. He's only here for a couple of years. And then you have another person coming in, and that's Fred Plocky. And Fred Plocky comes in, takes over in 1952, after that 2-year interlude, and he'll be president until 1966. And again, also energetic. He comes in and provides almost another, 14 years of very strong leadership, high energy. That's when a lot of Adams State is actually built, is going to be under Fred Plocky.
The university has been blessed with several fantastic presidents, and Fred Plocky is definitely one of those that I'd put at the top of the list. He did so much to expand the university's footprint as well as the university's enrollment. So I think if you think about presidents having a different role, that growth mode was definitely something that's part of his legacy.
In 1960, Dr. Plocky, who this building is named after, was the president of Adams State, and he hired Dad to be the head basketball coach and athletic director at the time.
My dad was Doc Cotton, Jack Cotton. John James Cotton is his true name, but everyone called him Doc around here. I remember Dr. Plocky. Not many people do, and to the point where it irritates me when people say Plocky Hall and all of this stuff. No, it's Dr. Plocky. He was a sort of a short man, very gruff, but he liked to tell stories, and you can tell he and Dad had a great relationship. He trusted Dad to grow these things, to say, to think big. Let's start a national tournament. Let's start the Olympic Training Center type stuff. He gave his people all the rope they needed, either to hang themselves or to excel. And more often than not, they excelled here at Adams State.
As you know, Joe Vigil was an internationally known track coach. And in 1968 was the Mexico Olympics. And so the training and tryouts for the Olympics were held here at Adams State in 1968. I remember a block away from where we're doing this interview on First Street is where they started the marathon trial.
Adams State is known as a running school. In fact, our coach is the winningest coach in the history of NCAA Division I, II, or III across every single sport that exists as part of the National Collegiate Athletic Association. So it is an impressive history with Dr. Vigil, who started the program, and his contributions to keep that going, and support for what we're doing now through Coach Damon Martin as well.
We had back in the day, famous tournaments in this building, and wrestling tournaments would happen up there in the balcony. And that's what athletics can do. Athletics can be your window to the world. It can be the handshake to the world, and that's the beauty of it. You know, it's a wonderful melting pot of cultures.
So the richness of the history and cultural contributions from the people who've been here for many years are impactful to the university. And what I like about that is the receptivity of the university to gaining that awareness of our history, gaining that richness that makes the Valley so special, and being curators of that and bestowing that on our students as they come through.
I graduated from Alamosa High School, 2 blocks up the road, so attending Adams State initially was like going to a big high school. I arrived here in 1965 and graduated in 1969.
Our parents actually immigrated from Calvillo, Aguascalientes, Mexico, to Alamosa, Colorado back in 1995. They really wanted to come to this country to give us the opportunity for a great education.
I grew up in Alamosa, and for the longest time I heard from my classmates like I want to get out of the valley, Alamosa is so boring, but I honestly feel like I've never wanted to leave the valley.
We always knew it was a matter of when I graduate college, not if I graduate college. My parents had always kind of placed a huge importance on education, and they always said that education would be the factor that would really change our cycle of poverty within our family.
I had a wonderful experience, got to meet so many people that I've crossed paths with throughout my career, throughout my life. Campus counselors, the custodial staff here, they were all just so encouraging and always gave us just a little lift outside of class to continue and to work hard.
A lot of one-on-one with professors. I've met great professors that I am friends with today, or colleagues. That one-on-one touch here is just so amazing. And there was areas that I needed extra help in, and those professors were just amazing. They all taught with their hearts.
Alamosa is a special place. It has a way of drawing people back. Our family tried to leave once or twice or 3 times, and somehow we always get drawn back here. And I think it's because of the community and the people that are here. They really make it feel like a home away from home. The people in this community really embrace anybody and everybody.
My mom graduated from school here to be a teacher. One of my sisters graduated, 2 of them graduated from school here. One of them sitting upstairs right behind us teaching business classes here at Adams State University. This is home, and I love it, so I want to do everything I can to make sure the institution, the communities in rural Colorado remain relevant and resilient and prosperous going forward.
I counted 70 people that have come to Adams State University. Just in my family, 70 people that have graduated from here and have gone on to do incredible things. And so the university has always been the lifeblood for our family to move out of what could otherwise be a very difficult life of poverty.
My father started this in 1936. He started probably going to college in 31. And that was generation 1. And they couldn't find any other family that has 4 generations with 4-year degrees in each of those generations. I think it puts the Owsley family in a category by itself. So we took this picture. The thing that is unusual is that 10 of the 15 adults have 4-year degrees from Adams State College. All 4 generations used whatever Adams State gave them They gave them degrees. They all walked out of Plocky Hall with a piece of paper, but I think they walked out with more than that. They walked out with the confidence that whatever they wanted to do, they have the ticket.
I think after Mom and Dad left Adams State in 1977, Adams State continued to play a central role in their lives. After 5 years in Denver, they moved to Santa Fe and came back to Adams State whenever they could. They had built a cabin up by South Fork, came back here for the summers. They would attend football games, basketball games. They would go to events at the Student Center. Adams State was really their home, and Alamosa was their spiritual home. The fact that they were here for 11 years, but for the next 45, they kept coming back. It meant a lot to them. And it's a special place.
In my mind, education is the only way out of poverty. It is the only way that we can move to a different place. Now, unfortunately, most of those people had to leave the valley, but they've always kept that connection back to Adams State and back to the San Luis Valley, and they hold a very proud heritage.
The more that I learn, the more that I'm able to obtain, the more that I can give back to my community. And that's always been really important to me. I want to be able to, like I said, to give back and to really thank my community for everything it's done for me.
The whole community has benefited from its students, the young people being able to attend a first-rate institution and then go back into the community. Our public school systems obviously have a lot of wonderful teachers that came because of Adams State, and that's a struggle in many rural communities.
One of the things that I appreciate working at Adams State University is its commitment to its designation as a Hispanic serving institution. Just recently, we renewed our commitment to what that means at many levels. Not just something involved with counting students, but really meaningfully reflecting on pedagogy in the classroom, the sort of extracurricular opportunities that are open to our students, and also pathways after graduation to promising careers in a whole variety of sectors of industry and community life.
We are able to provide students the education to break the cycle of poverty or to break their cycle of social class. And so with any education that a student is able to receive, if it's an associate's or a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, or even a PhD from our university, they're able to have another status in their socioeconomic class in which they can be more competitive, they can have a different lifestyle than what they grew up with.
Adams State for us means our beginning of our academic journeys. It offered us a lot of resources. I participated in a lot of clubs, but then I also was able to take advantage of work studies. I would say taking full advantage of what Adams State was.
We're here for the student that's going to take six years because they have to work full time. We're here for some traditional undergraduates. We are here for a lot of first generation students. So there's no shortage of opportunities, whether it is engaging in cultural activities. So the theater and the music programs do such a fantastic job of reaching out to the community and serving as the cultural hub. Again, brings a lot of things to the community that we wouldn't have if it wasn't for the university.
We had a folklorico program. It had two parts. It had a dance group and it had a musical group. I was in the musical group. We learned songs from Mexico, from different regions that we wanted to preserve here because they're very close to our hearts. We're playing for Adams State groups, but we broke off also and established a band called El Conjunto Nuevo Aztlán. And we had that band for 10 years. It's a dance band. But I wouldn't have had that dance band had I not gotten involved with the cultural activities of Adams State. Those things are important to me. Preservation of cultural customs and principles and such are very important to me. And so Adams State allowed me to do that.
Adams State has obviously offered a substantial economic benefit to the community. This community is bigger and better, and because of all the activities that a university brings to a community, it is probably easier to attract doctors and lawyers and all of the other things that a university causes to occur in a community to make it a more desirable place.
I believe we at Adams State persevere because we have to. We know that if we do not exist, there would not be a place of employment here, there would not be the economic standing here. The pure education that we offer to our people would not be here. It's important that we understand our role here, and that, again, without Adams State, we would not flourish. The Valley would not flourish.
Adams State as a Hispanic serving institution is crucial to the Valley because it is very reflective and it represents the people of the San Luis Valley. We have a very rich cultural heritage with deep roots in the Hispanic and Latino and Chicano heritage, and so I think it's a beautiful representation of the community that's here, and it really makes you feel at home and connected to other students, not only within the university but also in the community.
I certainly hope that the next 100 years are as wonderful as the previous 100. Not knowing what the future brings, I couldn't even imagine what the opportunities are and how far we could reach into that future for the next 100 years.
We have positioned ourselves to be able to adapt and move and change as the world around us continues to change, at an accelerated rate. As long as we always keep in mind who we are serving, the student population here, I think we'll be successful in serving them and the community and being adaptive and flexible and being able to change.
I feel like having gone through Adams State, graduated, I feel like I am inspired to further my education, but have to thank Adams State for that journey as well. And I can still see us coming back as students, but also if in the future as supporters of Adams State. And whatever that looks like, maybe it's giving back financially, giving back community service-wise, but I feel like Adams State has a special place in our hearts.
I did think about other schools, but ultimately, Adams State had everything I was looking for. It was affordable, it had a ton of people that looked like me that I could relate to. It had that cultural component. I felt like people cared about me and I wasn't just a number, and that made a huge difference.
Adams State University is going to be an innovator and a source of new ideas in the years that come. As we think about Adams State role 100 years from now, I'm really excited to see the ways in which the work of my faculty colleagues, the work of my students in the years to come are going to continue to lead to not just a stronger institution, but a stronger valley, a stronger economy. It's little steps like those taken by our students that lead to big things happening, and inevitably because of the role that Adams State plays, I'm really confident that the future is going to be one in which Adams State graduates are going to do big things and become inspirational models for their communities.
I think one of the most important parts of any kind of institution is the foundation, and so I think Adams State has really been able to grow some deep roots, to have a solid foundation, and everything else that'll happen in the future will be built on that foundation, and it'll be successful because of all the hard work that has gone on in the last 100 years, and so we'll leave a legacy of success and excellence that'll go well into the future.
Well, I think the campus has changed obviously in terms of its physical structure. So it has changed and kept up with the times. I think the Valley has, in a lot of ways, remained the same.
If I went to a lot of other institutions, I oftentimes would be teaching students who will be successful no matter who is standing in front of the classroom. And I really feel like I have a hand in the success of some of the students here. It's not to say that they don't own the majority of that. I mean, they're the students doing the work and so forth, but just getting the support of faculty who want to see everyone succeed. And that part of the mission is just so important to me, which is why I've stayed here for 22 years, and I intend to finish my career here if possible.
I feel like Adams State really kind of is a school for an underdog. Our job here is to truly transform their lives, to take them from poorer backgrounds and really elevate them up. And I think that's one of the best things that Adams State does, and one of the reasons I'm most proud to be an Adams State faculty. It also goes back to Billy Adams. And like I said, Billy Adams' legacy was about raising up the underdog. And I think that that is in the DNA of Adams State.
I'm amazed. I'm amazed that the vision of one individual in 1921 has flourished, and we have become not only the college that he envisioned us to be, we are now a university. We're thriving. We're small and rolling, of course. We're not the big universities in the big cities, but we can hold our own. And I think that that's beautiful. I think that's something that we need to celebrate.
Adams State has helped keep the Valley alive, but the Valley's been good to Adams State. And so it's a two-way street that I just hope that continues for a long, long time, because it's well-deserved in both directions.